It's a language that can give you a job.
The Istanbul Cervantes Institute prepared an exciting program for Spanish Language Day. It all kicked off with a morning vocabulary test, bright and early at 11 a.m. and continuing till 8 in the evening. The day's events wrapped up with a twilight flamenco dance performance featuring Istanbul-based Andalusian flamenco dancer Manuel Reina. Throughout the day's events, participants had the opportunity to put their language skills to the test, treat their taste buds to a Spanish breakfast, and test their skills in Latino dance workshops.
We are going to show a class zero of Spanish, how can we learn Spanish without knowing anything. So a group of people that we select within the people that are here will give a Spanish class, and after we have a Spanish game. That is a kind of chess that you compose different words, and we'll give a prize to go to Andalusia, the winner of this game.
Oh, that's a big prize.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, so is there one phrase that you should teach me for this morning?
Yes, Español, la lengua del diálogo.
Español,
la lengua del diálogo. Spanish, the language of dialogue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for being
Pleasure
here.
to meet you.
Spanish is spoken by around 500 million people worldwide. Spanish Language Day is celebrated in 44 countries. The goal is to recognize the importance of Spanish as an international language. It also creates a platform for all Spanish speakers and lovers of Spanish culture to come together.
A rare Stradivarius violin that once belonged to the granddaughter of English poet Lord Byron sold for a record $16 million at auction on Monday. It was part of a charity sale for Japanese disaster relief.
The 1721 violin was bought by an anonymous bidder for around 4 times the previous auction record for a Stradivari violin, according to Teresio, the online auction house for fine instruments. Proceeds from the sale will go to aid Japan after the recent natural disasters through the Nippon Foundation's Northeastern Japan Earthquake and Tsunami Relief Fund. The Lady Blunt was offered for sale by the Nippon Music Foundation, owners of some of the world's finest Stradivari and Guarneri instruments. The foundation's president, Kazuko Shiomi, stated that this violin was very important to the collection, but after the March 11th tragedy, they wanted to help in any way they could. The donation will be put to immediate use on the ground in Japan. Teresio said interest among bidders was massive. The instrument was owned for 30 years by Linda Ann Blunt, Brian's granddaughter. It is one of around 600 violins, violas, and cellos by the famed Italian maker Antonio Stradivari still in existence and among the finest examples. The last time it was sold publicly was in 1971, when it fetched a then record £84,000 at Sotheby's.
Over $1 billion of art is going under the hammer in London this month. From old masters like Michelangelo to modern masters like Picasso and Monet, London's auction rooms are riding a boom in art sales. Christie's kicked off a record-breaking series of art auctions in London this summer, starting with Impressionist and modern art. Instantly recognizable, Pablo Picasso's paintings are some of the most sought-after and most expensive works of art in the world. This 1935 Picasso portrait of a young girl sleeping, his young lover Marie-Therese Walter, hasn't been seen in public for 70 years. An anonymous donor gave it to the University of Sydney to raise money for scientific research. It could fetch up to $20 million. The Picasso could go much, much higher. At Christie's New York last year, another Picasso portrait of Marie-Therese sold for $106.5 million, the highest ever for any artwork at auction. Over $1 billion of art is on offer in London as the 2 big auction houses, Sotheby's and Christie's, raise the curtain on the costliest art sales of the year. Collectors from all over the world, many of them fresh from the world's biggest art fair in Basel, converge on London in the coming weeks for some of the most expensive art on the planet. The sales rooms are packed with household names from Michelangelo and Picasso to Monet, Francis Bacon, and Andy Warhol. Besides the Picasso, there is an Aladdin's cave of masterpieces on offer. The rare 16th century drawing by Italian master Michelangelo, dating from around 1504, has been shown in public only once before and is estimated at up to $8 million. The Water Lilies by French Impressionist Claude Monet, always a collector's favorite, was painted around the time of the First World War. Now it's expected to fetch $27.4 million. Jussi Pelkänen says Christie's offerings will appeal to collectors keen to get their hands on work by recognized masters.
Superb impressionist paintings by Monet, Van Gogh, Cézanne. 20th century works by Picasso, by Lowry, and by many of the great British painters. So a really, truly remarkable show of works of museum quality, which we can hold once a year, of works that often haven't been seen in public for several generations.
After the collapse of Lehman Brothers in 2008 and the global economic crisis that followed, the art market suffered a major downturn. Now, collectors from the booming economies of Asia and the Far East have been supporting record-breaking results in the sales rooms once again. The new breed of collectors favor museum-quality art from established and long-dead artists. Sotheby's have what could be the most expensive painting in the London summer sales, Austrian artist Egon Schiele's 1914 painting of his mother's hometown, valued at up to $50 million. It's the global reach of the art market that is driving up value, says Helena Newman, chairman of Sotheby's Impressionist and Modern Art.
We'll be presenting nearly £250 million worth of art over 2 weeks, impressionist, modern and contemporary art. And there are a number of important works coming to auction. We're expecting interest from a truly global audience of buyers coming from across the world, America, Asia, Europe, Russia, Middle East.
Sotheby's contemporary art specialist Oliver Barker says contemporary art has made a dramatic comeback. He says shifts in global wealth have created a new breed of collectors who have helped contemporary art bounce back. The auctioneers insist that it's all about quality. But with $1 billion worth of art going under the hammer in the space of a few weeks, maybe Andy Warhol got it right. It's all about money. London art auctions run over 3 weeks and started with Impressionism and Modern Art at Christie's on June 21st. Sales continue until July 8th with Old Master Art at Sotheby's, with further London sales at Phillips, Dupuy and Bonhams. Traveling while pregnant can make many parents to be anxious. Health experts say the best advice is to play safe and avoid any high-risk areas.
This wistful look is caused by the dream of a foreign holiday that's not to be this year. But it's for the best possible reasons. Stacey Frederick and her partner are expecting twins. She'd dearly love to fly off to hotter climes, but doctors and midwives in the UK advise against any heavily pregnant woman travelling by air, especially not someone who's due to have their hands full with 2 baby boys due in less than 8 weeks. The Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists advises against air travel after 34 weeks. The Royal College of Midwives also advises against air travel during the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. Miscarriages are most common during this time. The Royal College of Midwives says about 10% of pregnancies are lost during this time, and flying is an added risk. Frederick says it took a couple of years for her to get pregnant, and her partner is especially keen not to introduce any unnecessary risk factors.
He's very anxious about everything, so I'm just kind of going with the flow, whereas he'll read everything and tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing and what I shouldn't be eating and things like that.
But there have been absolutely no studies on this, and there is no evidence linking air travel during pregnancy with cot death, according to the Foundation for the Study of Infant Deaths. The Foundation, which has funded extensive research into the phenomenon, says that this is a prime example of how misleading and confusing advice read on the internet can be. But air travel can still pose difficulties for the unborn child. Spokeswoman for Britain's Royal College of Midwives, Sue Jacob, says the environment of the pressurised cabin causes the problem.
Normally we have, is it about 20% oxygen in the air? Whereas at higher altitude it could fall as low as about 10%, 5%. So the oxygenation to the baby is compromised, and when a baby is compromised, the natural response to a uterus is to go into labour and have that baby out. So that's one of the physiological reasons. Also the pressures vary, and that may affect the fine balance between the uterine pressure that's holding everything together, and chances of placenta being detached and having the bleeding is higher.
The Royal College of Surgeons says pregnant women are 10 times more likely to suffer from deep vein thrombosis, a clot in veins which take the blood to the heart and lungs. This isn't the automatic cause, but it says staying immobile on long-haul flights of 4 hours or more may contribute to DVD. It advises the use of compression stockings and as much movement around the cabin as a precaution. During pregnancy, it can be treated with an anticoagulant drug. It's not just in the air that pregnant women have to take extra care. Travel to some regions of infection can pose problems. Jacob says it is best to be safe and avoid any situations where there's a doubt. This means sticking to places with good sanitation, maintaining good hygiene with clean water, and ensuring that you do not buy drugs from an unofficial source. It means that pregnant women should also be wary of travel to malarial areas because of the drugs needed to prevent it. The advice of a qualified doctor or midwife should be sought over any concerns, and Jacobs emphasises the need to check that your travel insurance covers you for all eventualities before you even step out of the house. It all sounds rather onerous, so it's not surprising that Frederick and her partner have decided to wait until after the babies are born.
The Dead Sea is dying, with water levels dropping nearly 1.2 meters a year. What is less well known, though, is that part of the lake is also flooding, threatening Israeli efforts to boost tourism in the area.
Branding the Dead Sea the world's largest natural spa, Israel has mounted a massive campaign to secure a win for the lake in an international competition to name the world's 7 natural wonders. At the same time, the country is racing against the clock to stabilise the lake so nearby hotels don't flood and tourists can continue to access its therapeutic waters. Without intervention, experts say hotel lobbies will be flooded in 5 to 10 years. Israel's tourism and environmental protection ministers are endorsing an expensive proposal, a complex $2 billion plan to chip off the salt buildup on the part of the lake that's rising and dump it into the end that's dropping. The area in danger of flooding, the Dead Sea's southern basin, nearly dried up before industrialists intervened. In the 1960s, the Dead Sea Works cut a 16-kilometre canal to pump salt water from the lake's northern basin into its nearly parched southern end, turning it into an artificial evaporation pool. There, it extracts the water's precious minerals. Salt, the heaviest byproduct, gets left behind. Each year, 20 centimetres of salt builds up on the pool's floor, and the water level rises at the same rate. That artificial pool of real Dead Sea water is where the bulk of the Israeli hotels lie, and where tourists bob in the filmy water. Blobs of salt stick out near the shores, and the salty floor sparkles in the turquoise waters, adding to the ambience. But as the water rises, it encroaches on the hotel's tidy beaches. At one beach, a stepway leading to the salty lake has become half submerged, and a sun umbrella permanently affixed to the edge is now deep in the water.
This, as you can see, the umbrella behind me, this umbrella is used to be much higher, and due to the water level increase, its elevation is shrinking day after day, and sooner than later we're going to have to refacilitate all the marine and the shoreline facilities here in order to deal with one of the most challenging problems nowadays in the Dead Sea, the water level increase of the southern basin.
It's the exact opposite problem of the Dead Sea's upper basin. There, the waters of the lake recede each year to reveal a barren, pockmarked moonscape. Old boardwalks that once led into the lake now stand in the middle of empty land, and at one beach, bathers must ride a trolley to the lake's edge. Israel, Jordan and Syria are mostly responsible. They have redirected the Jordan River and its tributaries for drinking water, drastically reducing the amount that used to dump into the Dead Sea. The Israeli and Jordanian industries also pump out water from the sea for their evaporation pools. To stabilise the lake's southern basin, Israel's ministers of tourism and environmental protection want marine dredgers to drill through the salt deposits at the bottom of the pool. The salt would then be funneled through the pipes to a drying station. Then the dry salt would be